By the time the medbay door slid shut, the war was already over. At least, that's what everyone kept telling themselves. The battlefield of Karen's Reach lay silent beneath a pale red sky, littered with the remains of ships and soldiers from a dozen worlds. The coalition had won, barely. The enemy fleet was gone, scattered into debris and retreating jump signatures. Command called it a victory. Medics called it a miracle. Soldiers like me called it survival. And then there was Kareth. He lay motionless on the central med platform, his massive alien frame secured by restraint fields that hummed softly around him. Kareth was a Threxian warrior, nearly 8 feet tall, with slate-gray skin reinforced by natural armor plates and eyes like molten amber. Before the battle, he had been a legend, frontline commander, living shield, the one who held the line when others broke. Now, he couldn't move anything below his neck. "Spinal cord is severed," said Dr. Havoc, the coalition's chief zenemitic, his voice flat with exhaustion. Complete neural collapse from the upper thoracic node downward. Around him stood officers, medics, and representatives from half a dozen species. No one contradicted him. No one needed to. The prognosis hovered in the air like a death sentence. "He will never fight again," Havoc continued. "He will never stand. Threxian biology does not regenerate spinal cores. Keeping him alive will require constant energy support." A murmur rippled through the room. Sympathy, resignation, practicality. The Threxian delegate lowered his crested head. "Then he is already gone." That was when I spoke. "So that's it," I said. "We just give up?" Every head turned toward me. I was nobody special. Sergeant Elias Crow, Human Expeditionary Forces. Infantry. Not a medic. Not a scientist. Just another soldier with blood still drying on his armor. Havoc frowned. "This isn't a matter of opinion, Sergeant." "No," I said, stepping closer to the platform. "It's a matter of effort." The Threxian delegate's eyes narrowed. "You do not understand our kind human. A warrior who cannot fight has no future." I looked at Kareth's still face. Even unconscious, he looked formidable, scars etched into his armor plates, mandibles relaxed in something almost peaceful. "He saved my squad," I said quietly. 3 times. Once when he took a plasma lance meant for me. Silence fell. "Maybe you're ready to write him off," I continued. "But I'm not." Havoc sighed. "Hope does not repair severed neural tissue." "No," I said. "But persistence might." They dismissed me 10 minutes later. Officially, Kareth was placed on long-term stasis, pending transfer to a Threxian hospice world. Unofficially, everyone had already moved on. The war demanded reports, reallocations, politics. Broken warriors were inconvenient reminders of the cost. But I didn't move on. I requested reassignment to medical support. Denied. I requested access to Kareth's case files. Restricted. I requested permission to speak with Threxian healers. Delayed indefinitely. So, I did what humans have always done best. I ignored protocol. I visited Kareth every cycle. At first, it was just sitting beside the med platform, talking. I told him about Earth, about rainstorms and old cities, and the way humans refuse to quit even when quitting makes sense. I didn't know if he could hear me. Threxian neurology was different. But I talked anyway. "Everyone thinks you're done," I said once. "They're wrong. I don't know how yet, but they're wrong." One cycle, I noticed something strange. The monitors flickered, not alarms, just subtle fluctuations in neural activity near the damaged spinal core, barely above background noise. I brought it to Havoc. "Reflexive echo," he said dismissively. "Residual energy decay. It means nothing." "It means something," I insisted. It's not flatlined. Sergeant, he snapped. Are you a doctor? No, I said. But I know the difference between nothing and something. He stared at me for a long moment. Even if you're right, he said finally, there is no known method to repair a Threxian spinal cord. Not with our technology. Not with theirs. What about combined tech? I asked. Coalition biotech, human neural mapping, Threxian biocrystals? That kind of integration hasn't been approved, he said. And it would be experimental. I smiled grimly. Most breakthroughs are. Havok rubbed his temples. If this fails, he dies. I looked back toward the med bay. If we do nothing, he lives half a life. That's not living. Word spread faster than I expected. A human soldier pushing to save a paralyzed alien warrior. Some called me naive. Others called me disrespectful. A few quietly offered help. Data files, off-the-record advice, prototype tech that hadn't made it past ethics committees. The Threxians were divided. Some elders argued Kareth should be allowed an honorable death. Others, younger ones mostly, watched with something like hope. Kareth had been a symbol of unbreakable strength. What would it mean if even he could fall and rise again? Permission came 3 cycles later. Conditional. Closely monitored. 1 attempt. The procedure was unlike anything I'd ever seen. Threxian biocrystals were grown along the damaged spinal region, acting as scaffolding. Human neural interface filaments, adapted from experimental prosthetics, were threaded through them, designed to carry signals the Threxian nervous system no longer could. Coalition nanites were introduced to encourage tissue integration, constantly recalibrating based on Kareth's unique biology. Havok led the procedure, his usual skepticism replaced by razor-sharp focus. Initializing neural bridge, he said. The room hummed with energy. For a long time, nothing happened. Then Kareth's eyes snapped open. Alarms blared. Power levels spiked. The restraint fields flared. Sedation spike, someone shouted. No, Havok said, staring at the readings. He's awake. Kareth's gaze focused slowly, then locked onto me. Human, he rumbled, his voice rough but unmistakably conscious. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. Hey, big guy. Pain crossed his features. I cannot feel my lower limbs. Not yet, Havok said quickly. Neural pathways are unstable. This is unprecedented. Kareth's mandibles twitched. You should have let me go. I shook my head. Not my style. Recovery was brutal. Kareth endured cycles of agony as his nervous system adapted to the artificial bridge. Some days, there was progress, a flicker of sensation, a twitch of muscle. Other days, setbacks that left him exhausted and furious. More than once, he told me to stop. This body was forged for war, he said during one particularly bad cycle. What remains is a shadow. Then we'll teach the shadow new tricks, I replied. Slowly, impossibly, it worked. First came sensation, pressure, temperature. Then movement. A single finger. A flex of the knee. Each milestone felt like a victory parade, even if the rest of the galaxy barely noticed. The day Kareth stood was the day everything changed. He didn't rise gracefully. His legs shook violently, support braces humming as they compensated. But he stood, towering, unbroken, eyes blazing with something fierce and new. The medbay erupted in stunned silence. I am standing, he said, awe threading his deep voice. I laughed, a sound halfway between relief and disbelief. Told you. News spread fast this time. A Threxian warrior, once declared beyond saving, walking again with the help of human technology and stubborn refusal.